World No. 1 Rafael Nadal holds a commanding 22-10 head-to-head lead over fellow Australian Open semi-finalist Roger Federer in what is widely regarded as the greatest tennis rivalry of all time. Not since Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, Ivan Lendl, John McEnroe, Boris Becker, Stefan Edberg, Jimmy Connors, McEnroe have tennis matches captivated the hearts and minds of fans the world over like Nadal-Federer. The Spaniard, with the heart of a lion, has challenged Federer like no other since their first meeting almost a decade ago. Nadal reigned supreme occasion, knocking over the Swiss Phenom in straight sets 6-3, 6-3. It was the beginning of an era in which Nadal would go on to win 6 Grand Slams, playing Federer including 4 French Opens, the Australian Open and an epic Wimbledon. Tomorrow night, on Rod Laver Arena, a new chapter will be written in the storied Nadal-Federer rivalry. Who will come out on top? Federer, one of the greatest ever, against a sore but bullish Nadal. Buckle up, it looms a wild Australian Open ride. 5 of the best. 5. 2006 Rome Masters Final, Clay. Nadal d Federer 6-7, 7-6, 6-4, 2-6, 7-6. Forced to save 2 match points, Nadal clawed his way back from 4-2 down to defeat Federer in 5.05 hours, their longest ever battle. A clay specialist, Nadal dropped the first set before winning the second in a tiebreak. Just when it looked as if Federer was going to wilt, after dropping the third, the Swiss ace responded, breaking the Spaniard twice in a big fourth set. But his run would come to an end as Nadal held his nerve, against 2 match points, to force a tiebreak and defend his Rome title. 4. 2012 Australian Open Semi-Final, Hard. Nadal d Federer 6-7, 6-2, 7-6, 6-4. Nadal was not to be denied in 2012, in the semi-final at least, fighting back from a set down to send Federer packing. Nadal exploded, taking the second set 6-2 before a gritty third set to lay the foundations. Unfortunately for the Spaniard, his run would come to an end just days later, beaten in the final by Novak Djokovic. 3. 2007 Wimbledon Final, Grass. Federer d Nadal 7-6, 4-6, 7-6, 2-6, 6-2. Like two heavyweights, Federer and Nadal exchanged blows in a withering All-England Club final. Federer, at the peak of his powers, looking for a 5th straight Wimbledon crown, took the first set in a tight tiebreaker. Not done with yet, Nadal responded, taking the second before dropping the third. Just as it looked like Federer would go on to equal Bjorn Borg's record, Nadal erupted, breaking his rival to take the fourth 6-2. Federer responded, cruising to an emotional victory. 2. 2009 Australian Open Final, Hard. Nadal d Federer 7-5, 3-6, 7-6, 3-6, 6-2. By the time Nadal landed in Melbourne, he had 4 Grand Slam titles under his belt, 3 on clay and an epic on grass. The knockers said he couldn't win on a hard surface. Thankfully, it was lost in translation as the Spaniard upset Federer in 5. It was another topsy-turvy affair as Nadal and Federer traded blows before the then 22-year-old claimed the decider 6-2 to silence his critics. 1. 2008 Wimbledon Final, Grass. Nadal d Federer 6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7. Firebrand John McEnroe described the final as the greatest ever seen, and he's not alone. Federer was the red-hot favorite, going for his 6th consecutive All-England crown. Nadal, 22, the clay court specialist, looking to make a name for himself off his beloved red dirt. Rain delayed the start of play, but Nadal responded the better, taking the first 2 sets in no time. Federer, his back the wall, fought back to lead 5-4 in the third before rain again stopped play for over an hour. This time it was Federer who would benefit, coming out to close out the set before taking the fourth 7-6, 10-8, in the breaker. But Nadal refused to give in under darkening skies, fighting off a match point before going on to clinch the decider 9-7.